It took a long time for it to burn off. Oh. I think he needs to hit record. Hit record. He is. It's recording.
It's recording. Do you want me to go back and do all that again?
You're all right.
What's that?
I said, you're all right.
Okay, thanks, Kirk. At this time, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 1.2, adopt the agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt the agenda as posted.
And a second?
I second that.
All those in favor? Jerry?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Melissa? Aye. Oh, you can hardly hear that, yeah. And I also agree, motion carries. Moving on to presentations, do we have our student presenter?
Okay, so my student lives in Shelter Cove. My name's Kathy Shermer. And so, it was explained to me that, because, they would need to come in through Zoom, it wasn't possible to Zoom because we would have had to make their home, a possible place for the public to come.
Would have had to have been a
It's a little
jail.
confusing. Yeah, it's a little confusing. So I'm gonna get them on the phone. So this, yeah, this
Okay.
student is B Gray and they go by they, them. Just so you know the pronouns.
And then Kathy has their presentation on a slide on Google Slides that Kathy's gonna share with you.
Hi there, B. Are you ready to introduce yourself? Okay. Okay, that sounds great.
Welcome. I'm Rosemary Kunkler, board president, and we're very anxious to hear what you have to share with us today.
All right. Well, I'm B. I'm a senior and an independent study student. And I've been going to Northern United since 9th grade. So I've been going for all of high school. And the classes I'm taking, I don't have that many this year since I'm a senior, but I'm taking economics, English, animation, Avid, and art. And I made a slideshow on Cal Poly Humboldt because that's where I'm planning on going to college, and I applied there 2 days ago. So
Woohoo.
I'm excited.
Very exciting, B. Very awesome. Wonderful. Would you like to ask if there's any questions?
Oh yeah, if there's any questions, then I can answer.
Yeah, I'll ask a question. Hi, my name is Brian Payton. I'm one of the board members here for Northern United here in Eureka. What are you going to be majoring in?
Planning to be an art studio major.
Okay.
Awesome. Are there any other questions?
I have one. You're back with me, Rosemary. The question that I have, you said you applied yesterday. Have you already gotten a response back?
2 days ago, and I got I didn't get accepted yet. That usually takes longer, but I got an email saying that my thing was sent in, so they got it. They got
Perfect. Perfect. First step.
Kathy will have to keep us posted.
Yes, and fingers crossed.
And the presentation is
Yes.
shared now
Oh,
with
that's
everybody.
perfect. And so I just wanted to mention that they have a 3.8 grade point average and have really thrived in our program. So I'm really proud of this student. Okay, so B, I'm gonna share your presentation. Should I get off the phone or do you want me to
Maybe we'll
stay on
have
the phone?
questions of B after the presentation, so if B doesn't mind staying on and then it speaks for itself. Well, you don't know how dense we can be.
Yeah. Who knows, we'll see. Maybe I'll do the presentation and then if anyone has any questions, then they can ask you. Does that sound good, B?
Sure.
Okay, okay. So the first page here, you can see, it is the title page, Cal Poly Humboldt. Okay, so about Cal Poly Humboldt puts emphasis on its hands-on education methods as well as the campus being located in the beautiful redwood forest. The school is prized for its efforts towards conservation of nature and natural resources. Cal Poly Humboldt is also known for being a very creative school, making solutions for a better future. The requirements for Cal Poly Humboldt first year students are completion of A through B coursework, which she has done here
Good.
at Northern United Humboldt Charter, and at least a 2.5 GPA. And like I mentioned, a 3.8, so I think we're good. Application submitted through the calstate.edu website. Calstate Apply. Okay, program I'm interested in. I'm interested in the Bachelor of Arts program specifically. I hope to complete my general education requirements and work toward getting an art degree. Right now, I'm not certain what specific path I want to take, but I know it will be centered around visual arts. Awesome. About the art program at Cal Poly Humboldt. Some of the art facilities at Humboldt: sculpture lab, ceramics lab, drawing area, jewelry and small metals lab. At Humboldt, students go beyond the books and gain real-world experiences using off-campus facilities for studio work and research. Awesome.
Mhm.
Fun facts about Cal Poly Humboldt. Cal Poly Humboldt was founded in 1913. They have 61 undergrad majors as well as 13 master's programs. Cal Poly Humboldt has over 82,000 alumni. How many of us are alumni? I'm an alumni and a master's student. Oh.
Like,
Okay, so there you go. Wonderful. That was really beautiful.
yeah.
I have to stop sharing, Kathy.
Yeah, there we go. Oops,
Don't leave the meeting, cancel.
Oh, boy.
There you go.
Mix it up. Okay, does anybody have any questions of B at this point?
I have no questions, but very good job. Excellent presentation.
Wonderful. Yeah, and so I've been able to work with this student for 4 years and this is just the level of that they complete. Really beautiful presentations all the time. Okay, so thank you, B. I think we're good.
All right.
Good.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Oh, we're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That was
Thank you,
great. Now, moving on to our consent agenda.
Thanks, Kathy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, guys.
3.1, consideration of approval of warrants and payroll for Northern United Humboldt. 3.2, consideration of approval of warrants and payroll for Northern United Siskiyou, numbers 0905, 0918, 0925, 1003. 3.3, consideration of approval of minutes for the September 11th board meeting. 3.4, consideration of resignations, hires, leaves, and change of assignments. 3.5, consideration of approval of Williams Uniform Complaint Quarterly Report for NU Siskiyou. Are there any questions or comments?
Okay, hearing none, is there a motion?
I move to accept the consent agenda as posted.
And a
I'll
second?
second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Jerry,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
and I also agree. Motion carries. Moving on to public comments, 4.1. Comments by the public. Under this item, the public is invited to address the board regarding items that are not on today's agenda. Please keep your comments concise, brief, and limited to 3 minutes. The board is not allowed under the law to take action on matters that are not on today's agenda. Should comments from the public pertain to a charge or complaint against an employee of Northern United Humboldt or Northern United Siskiyou, the board encourages the speaker to utilize the school's written complaint procedures to pursue the matter. The public will have an opportunity to comment on all agenda items as those are heard. Do we have any public comments? Let's all look at August.
You're a great job.
Thank you.
It's true.
All right. Moving on to action items. 5.1, approval of the Fire Monkey Food Agreement, Service Agreement, 2024-25 for Mount Shasta Learning Center and Wairika Learning Center and Siskiyou. Okay, I mentioned this last month that, remember, I told on myself that the vendor agreement, this Fire Monkey vendor agreement, when we put it in the agenda, when I put it in the board packet in May or so, June, I accidentally included the one from last year, the 23-24 vendor agreement rather than the 24-25 vendor agreement. So once I discovered I had done that, I thought I better bring it back. So that's what this is. And even though I had the wrong one in there in the background sheets at that time, I did put what the increase was. And so you see that in the background, it was an increase of 15 cents per lunch for the 9 through 12th grade students, and a decrease of 15 cents per lunch for the K-8 students over the previous year. But I put the wrong year in your packet. So that's why you're seeing this again. Are there any comments or questions for Sherry?
No, she fessed up last month, and so we knew this was coming, and
All right.
just correcting the formality.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Fire Monkey Food Service Agreement 2024-2025 for Mount Shasta Learning Center and the Wairika Learning Center at the Northern United Siskiyou Charter School.
Is there
I
a
second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Jerry,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
and I also agree. Motion carries. 5.2, approval of Northern United Charter School School Director Evaluation Tool. Okay, well, you guys know we've been looking at this for a few months. The evaluation tool that we've used for me over the last however many years, 6 years or so, has kind of stayed the same. And this year we talked about updating it. And so we had planned to make a decision today about what direction to go, and I gave you several options to look at for the tool. From a variety of different schools that I reached out and asked for different ones. And I think, Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last time we talked about this, which I think was the August board meeting,
you had asked me which one I think that I had a preference for. And, you know, after looking at them all further, I think the one that I would have the preference for is the one that's based on the capsules, which several of the options that I gave in there do have capsules. I think the way that Jacoby Creek laid them out, it's that's all that's in there is the capsules. It's one of the other ones, I think maybe it was like the CSBA, one of the CSBA options, it had the goals, the evaluation was based on the annual goals, which is what we've been doing. But the CSBA had that plus the capsules, which seems like a lot. But so I think maybe since we've been doing goals for the last 6 years and wanting to switch it up, it seems like doing the capsules is the next most, I don't know, common way to do it and maybe the most reasonable. And for those of you who don't know, the capsules are the California standards for professional educational leaders, I think is what it stands for. It's basically like the standards that administrators are that they go by. Just so you know too, when we evaluate our teachers, we do it based on the California teaching standards. And so doing the capsules for an administrator is kind of that equivalent. So anyway, I don't know if that helps. I know you guys have been looking at this already for a while, so maybe you have some different thoughts on it, but.
Any comments
So
or questions?
then, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems that you're indicating because of the capsules, and then is that the Jacoby Creek one that?
Yeah, Jacoby Creek is just the capsules.
Mhm.
Some of the other ones had capsules incorporated in them. Like I said, some of them had both goals and capsules, which that just kind of seemed like a lot, and we've been doing goals.
Mhm.
So that's, to me, the capsules seem like kind of the next most logical way to do it.
Okay.
I didn't know if you guys had any differing opinions.
But the capsules, let's see.
There are 6 main capsules, and then they're
Yeah.
like standards, and then they're broken down into
Yeah,
what
A, B,
they
and
call
C.
elements, yeah.
I think this is the one, I don't see any direct, and I did make a note to myself, but it doesn't seem to have any direct director board relationship
Mhm.
interaction, and I think that's based upon our 6 previous years worth of discussion and interaction,
Mhm.
that's been a big part of it.
Yeah.
And to your credit, I mean, that's one of the things that you're really stellar at. But this doesn't seem to have.
It's not overt, I would agree. I think that maybe you would like fit it into maybe standard 6 or which is like external context and policy.
Yeah.
But then also standard 1 is like a shared vision. And so that's something that we work on together. And then the other one that I was thinking was in element 3, which is management in the learning environment. One of the elements is
Climate.
yeah, I was actually kind of thinking the fiscal and human
Okay.
resources, but I mean, that's more personnel really, but you're right, it's not overtly in there.
Yeah, and I think it's honestly, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. But I because previous member comments have always complimented you on the working relationship with members. And, you know, I'd hate to see that
Not being
disappear.
in there.
So maybe you don't care what we think.
Oh, I do.
Well, I can see that on right after the last page that says Jacoby Creek School District Administrator Self-Evaluation, there's the 2 pages that are landscape, and the first section on there is like 4 points relating to topic board. And yeah,
But that's a
so I don't
different
That's
know.
a different one, yeah.
It is a
See how
different
this
one, right?
USC,
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
USC.
And so what
Yes.
you guys are saying right now is that the Jacoby Creek one is the one that seems best. I kind of couldn't really comprehend which one you actually said you liked best.
Well, it's
Sherry.
not even a matter of liking any of them better than the other one. That was the one that it was just the capsules were what was being evaluated on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, essentially, it's like, to me, the things that would be most relevant are either progress on the goals that we develop, or the capsules, since those are the standards that all California administrators are supposed to be meeting. And so those two seem very logical and not as arbitrary as if we just, you know, came up with other things or whatever. And we've been doing it on the goals. And so that's why, to me, it's like, okay, well, the other option is capsule, but maybe we do a combination, or maybe we do capsules based on Jerry's comment and add a couple, like at least one other element.
Mm-hmm.
See, if we accept the approve the
Capsules.
the capsules based the Jacoby Creek model, it's understandable that the current board members, if we want to, you know, expand the definition as you were citing that, then we would know it. But if there's a new member, they wouldn't automatically know that. So I think our prior practice is we like to spell out things so that somebody who's not an outsider that would come in and would see this and go, oh, you're talking about the board of directors in that, and you wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
This isn't sort of an inside thing. So I, and again, it gets back to, you know, what you feel the most comfortable with, and I get it. Because you have to evaluate staff and other people in administrative roles evaluate staff members that they oversee based upon those standards.
Well, it's.
And that makes sense.
We do the teachers with the standards, the California teaching standards, but when I evaluate the administrators, I have been doing the same model you guys have done with me. So I've been doing it based on the goals. And so if we switched, I guess I would switch.
Okay.
Rebecca.
Well, to me, as I was going through these, I still came back to ours.
Yeah.
That I like.
Oh, well.
I do, and Alder Grove was my second choice. These others reminded me of that letter of recommendation that goes on page after page after page, and the information just gets bogged down.
Yeah.
Say what you have to say in a short amount of time, a few words, and in my opinion, it's just as effective as the long drawn out documents.
Yeah.
But if the state is insisting that we move in that direction.
No one is insisting on that at all. No, not at all. That is just, it is totally just, an option.
Yeah. Brian, I know you have not been through the evaluation.
No, but I was
process,
just looking,
but-
I was just looking at some of the samples they
And
were
this,
giving.
did you see, this is ours in
Yeah,
the
I
past.
think
Okay.
one of his first meetings was at, my last one.
yeah,
Ah,
Mhm.
okay.
but yeah, I kind of like what you're saying. I kind of like the Jacoby Creek, but I mean, you can technically, if you want to leave it, you can, but or if you want to kind of just mix it up to have a little bit of both, I mean, and then I was just looking at some of the samples, you know, because you guys were talking about, you know, there was nothing in there that was necessarily board related, but if you wanted to add more samples of board service relationship, I think that's definitely important, like the kind of culture you bring, the governance, and if you support that. I mean, there's a lot of questions. I was looking at some of these samples here. You're like, do you assist in the board preparing, conducting meetings? How do you do that? Helping the board create a positive organization culture. Just some of the questions I'm reading here. But those, I think, some of the samples they give that you sent us, is really, really good questions that you could add, and you can just reword it or just keep it as is. But I like both of them. I like what we had, what you guys had, and I do like the Jacoby Creek out of all of them. That's my comment.
So.
I'm
where do
having
we
a hard
go from
time
here?
remembering what it was about ours that we've been doing that we were wanting to change.
Well, you felt it was too limited, that, it just focused on, how you address the goals.
You
I don't
know,
have any notes in
you know
front of me.
how we have developed that, I mean, it is essentially our goals, but that image, the graphic, remember that I shared
Right.
that's on our, which I don't know if I've mentioned, we've made all those changes. And so now it's new and improved, but,
Good.
and that's how we're doing the board reports now. I mean, we could do that.
Will you, what are you
What's the
saying? I'm
image?
sorry.
I'm sorry, I know I'm not being very clear. Do you, and Melissa, I'm not 100% sure if you were here, I can't
She
remember.
wasn't.
Okay, so when we, okay, you might remember in August, I believe, the board picked the goals for the year, and essentially they're like a combination of our LCAP goals for both Humboldt and Siskiyou. And so then I think it was maybe in September, or was it, yeah, September, I shared this, it's a graphic, like an image that we created that is like a graphic of, I can share it,
Yeah.
a graphic of our goals. And the board looked at it and gave feedback, and we like made some tweaks. And we decided to start having our school reports to the board based on the way the goals are laid out and this graphic. So let me show you, I'll share it just so that everybody sees what I'm talking about.
And this was the first time using it in the board report. The little graphic and then the goals listed there.
This time? Well, we did the Humboldt one with the goals that way with it, we did last month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Humboldt one, but not the Siskiyou. This time we did both. So can you see that, Melissa? Maybe I can make it bigger for you.
Well, there you go.
So
Yeah.
basically, this is kind of a graphic image of our goals. So academic rigor is down in the bottom there, and that's like our academic goal, you know, wanting our students to succeed academically. And we just listed some things, some of the kind of initiatives that we have been working on that are related to academic rigor. So the fact that we're avid schools, college and career readiness, working on the science of reading, the math framework, those kinds of things. And then up at the top, the social emotional learning, so PBIS, character strong, compassionate systems, restorative and community circles. Again, just a lot of the initiatives we're working on, and we have a goal related to social emotional, like the school climate. And then that other circle is the community. And so both of our schools are community schools, and the family engagement that we're working on. All of our like outdoor resiliency building education we're doing, our sports, our FFA, like the culture of our school, our student leadership clubs, just the community building that we're working on. Community
I love
engagement.
this graphic. It's so cute. And it's really comprehensible too. It really captures it in a creative way, which just shows that we're passionate about it.
Yeah, the admin team had a meeting this summer, and we kind of realized that we could kind of we wanted to fit all of our initiatives into our headings. And then we had Melody in the registrar's office, who is really good at graphic designing, create this for us. And then so we shared this with staff at our fall summit, and we've just been using it. We've created posters. In fact, there's one hanging up in the building you're in right now, Melissa, in Wairika. I noticed it the last time I was there.
Find it.
Yeah, it's by the front door. But anyway, when I brought it to the board last month or whatever, there was just some like kind of tweaking that we did, and so it brought it back. So I'm hoping this looks a little better. But anyway, so this is what I was proposing. Like, okay, what if we do my evaluation kind of based on this, which is essentially doing the goals like we've been doing, but
Do you think it's, I'm just sitting here thinking, if we could generate some kind of a group that addresses all of that, and then you just do a narrative and how you feel you performed in addressing all of those, and you throw in some anecdotal statements, try to make it not also rigid, but add some, personality, personal touch to it. I think you can easily do that, but only if you feel comfortable. But going back to that image, the only suggestion now, yeah. The only suggestion I would offer, just in case somebody gets super sensitive about that.
Oh, I know.
It's just a girl.
Hey, not just.
Oh.
Hey,
Yes.
no, thank you. Women are smart. So I'm not hearing any of that. But there may be some people out there that will say, shouldn't it be a boy and a girl?
But where would you put two?
I think it gets too complicated if we go that route. We'll probably have to just remove the child altogether. I think it's just there to reflect our students, and
there's
our students could be
possibly a way
anyone,
the,
Or maybe we would yearly put a different image or something, just to reflect
reduce
more
the size
variety of students.
You could just play around with it, but I just offer that in case somebody is, going to jump on us
And
for
somebody
it.
will.
We'll always be leaving
Out and
some
Put a boy in one
demographic
circle
out.
and a girl in another, like community and rigor or something.
Yeah,
This could take on its own life.
Yeah, that's true, but that was, I since I saw it and sitting here, it just occurred to me, I'd be remiss if I didn't point that out.
Yeah.
But getting back to the discussion at hand, that's perfect, and, so would decide to use that as the basis for your evaluation, but again, only, it's something that, just like the first one, we all agree upon it. And you have brought it to our attention that it just seems to be wanting. And so I think we, the board, are, willing to adjust it and adopt what y'all feel, with you taking the lead, the most comfortable with, and then go from there.
Melissa?
I wanted to kind of give my thoughts on all of it. I really love our goals, that graphic, that idea. I do think that it is still missing a lot of what you do as a director and your interaction in the school. And I think, if I remember correctly, that was kind of why we were stepping away from goals in the first place, because is that really an evaluation of you? I remember us using that statement, like, is that really an evaluation of you and your position to the school and what you do for the school and how you interact with others? I think Rosemary might have said it, and I agreed, or maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of recall us saying, like, a lot of these points are your interactions that we're not involved with. We can't see all the stuff you do. We kind of get an overview of, like, are you fulfilling the goals? And we can kind of see, like, looking at some of these budget and financial, personnel, family engagement, we can see by what you come to us with that these things are getting accomplished and that you're heading them, And so I feel personally like I kind of like some of these other methods more because it gives a more thorough. I think that the way we've been doing it is you've been evaluating yourself, and I think it kind of is a way for you to continue to evaluate yourself on different standards of your job. Like, in some of this I read, like, are you something like bringing everyone in the team in for decision making and things like that. And when you read those things, they might remind you, like, you know what, that's an area that I maybe haven't been doing as much this year. My focus has been so far over here, I have to remember to integrate that point. So I think because these seem more like showing us and bringing to front of mind more of the day-to-day things that you're doing and your interactions with every area of the school, that it gives a better sense of evaluation of what you're actually doing. And so that's kind of why I appreciate these. I'm totally in support of if we want to just go with, those points of goals. I still think that that's not really an evaluation of you and your job. And so the ones that I really like, yeah, and I think the ones that I like the most is visually the Alder Grove is really simple, outlined, where I like that the 5 points, because sometimes it's like, well, it wasn't just satisfactory. Like, you did more than satisfactory, but it wasn't, exemplifies, or exceeds. So it would be like a 4, I like that 5-point scale. I like how simple and how it gives us the space of comments. But I like the content of the USC because I feel like it breaks it down into the different things in relating to different areas really well and a little more thoroughly. But it's still really simple. And yeah, so I'm not saying that is in line exactly with the 6 points, but I would be in favor of doing something like as simple, like consolidated, but having more areas of your job so that one other thing I think we mentioned, and I know this is a little bit of a stretch, but I feel like a lot of these points, it would be good to get anonymous feedback from the people you work with, because some people, we hear so much positive feedback about you. We hear like when we're doing your evaluation of your pay, we hear like, we really appreciate Sherry, she really deserves this, and so much positive feedback. But we're not really giving an opportunity for those same people and others that work with you to say, you do so amazing, but this is an area that we would benefit in this area of you to improve on. And I don't think people will come and say that easily. So if there was some way to get these kind of ratings like anonymously from staff, so that you have that feedback, you'd be even more able to see like where you're succeeding and where you need improvement and the areas that you're just completely missing. So anyways, long-winded, sorry about that, but that's kind of my
No, I
sense on-
think that was helpful, and I think you are remembering it correctly, that it was what we had been doing. It did feel like it wasn't so much a reflection of it didn't show all the facets of my role, I think. And so that USC one, that's Union Street Charter, in case anybody's wondering what that is. You're right, that actually has more specific things related to my job. And, of course, we could say like, well, the buck stops with me, everything's related to my job or whatever, but what I was reporting on before, it was kind of more of what like the other staff was doing. It's kind of like the difference between a superintendent role and a principal role. And the other stuff was a little more like what principals do. And, so I think you're right about that, Melissa. I think that is what we were saying before, is it didn't really show things like, the anything related to fiscal or, like the board stuff or, those kinds of things. It was more related to the instructional goals that we have.
Mhm.
And so I think that's where we were looking for something else.
I also kind of like that it has a no answer section on that USC one, because it's like, it would probably be good information for if like I don't know, I can't answer like a point, then that that's an area that we're not getting enough information on,
Yeah.
Good points.
Yeah.
Very good points.
Yep.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I am fine with that Union Street one as well. I don't know if you guys all like, if we're kind of narrowing down on that one, if you're looking at it and we feel like there's anything on there that isn't included that you think should be.
But we would get a draft before adopting.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
redo,
Mhm.
like in our, in a different format.
Uh-huh. I'm thinking, do we want to move forward with that as a starting point or a template and have it brought back to us next meeting for a reading or a draft?
Yeah, and I think that, not to answer for everybody, everybody else could answer, but if we start with this one and then between now and next
Mhm.
month, after, now that you can like kind of eliminate the other
The
ones,
others.
the extraneous, you can look at this and see if there are things you feel like aren't on here that you would want to be at, you'd want to add, or anything on here you'd want to change.
I'd like to just say one thing that I'm seeing from the Jacoby is that ethics and integrity is on that, one of those 6 points, and I don't really see anything that I don't know if I'm just looking at it too quickly, but that point isn't really included in the.
There's really nothing in here about the instructional program either.
Mhm.
And, like I said, the previous one, that's kind of all it was.
Uh-huh,
But it doesn't mean it shouldn't be on here somewhere.
right.
So that's something that I, was kind of thinking.
Yeah,
And
maybe
usually
we-
the capsule 5, the ethics and integrity one, that is one that, like, when I'm coaching new administrators, that's embedded in everything you do. Do you know what I mean? So like how you treat personnel, which is in this Union Street Charter one, ethics and integrity is embedded in that, business, it's embedded in that. That's one of the capsules that's just kind of, comes out in everything.
yeah,
but it-
like maintains a positive and
Explicitly
effective
being-
relationship.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Brian, Jerry, what are your thoughts?
I like the idea that there's a starting point. Like Sherry was mentioning, that we do that and then we can look at it and go from there. I think that's would be great.
Another option, if you wanted to do this, is, like, I could meet with like just Rosemary or just one of you, it could be anyone. And we could kind of hammer it out together too, and then hopefully bring back a finished product.
I like that idea.
Jerry, what are your thoughts?
That's, that's reasonable, very reasonable, and, having done a lot of evaluations myself, if the board is willing, I'd be, I don't wanna usurp the chairperson's prerogative, but I'd be willing to volunteer to be that person.
And I think that the way we interact, so to speak, with each other, it's not just on one person, our roles are kind of divided and like the onboarding, that's forever gonna be your baby. And so I think that if you'd like to do that and the board agrees, absolutely.
And can I ask a question?
What's that, Melissa?
When we do this, say we were to pick one of these and then we follow through with it, Sherry, would you still be evaluating yourself as well?
Well, that's a good question, like doing some sort of a narrative. If we were doing just that one that was Union Street Charters, I don't think that I would. Unless,
Because I feel
you
like it
know,
would be beneficial if, like, say you filled it out and brought it to us like we did before, and then we were able to look at how you felt you did and then score you as well how we feel, and then maybe even came up with an average and you were able to see how we all together as a board score you or something like that. Would that be kind of simple?
be fine. I would also be willing to write down examples of things that I've done that fit into each of those categories. You know how you
That
were
would
pointing
give
out
us-
there was an NA,
Mm-hmm.
and that, that might make as much sense as the evaluation too, but.
Well, I think that we have a starting point, but where it is an action item,
We could table it till next month if you wanted.
okay? Is everyone in agreement with tabling it until next month?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
If we're allowed to do that, then sounds good.
If somebody wants to make a motion to do that. And then everybody can vote on that.
I'll make a motion that we table it
Until next meeting.
until next meeting.
Is there a second?
Um, I second to, the main motion to table the approval of a NUCS director evaluation tool.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Melissa? Melissa?
Aye.
And I also agree, motion carries. We do good work together as a team. Moving on to discussion items, we have 6.1, which is NU Humboldt California Community School Partnership Program Implementation Grant.
Woo, it's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful.
Okay, so I mentioned this previously in a director's report that Northern United Humboldt received the Community School Implementation Grant. That's a grant for 5 years, just over $1 million for Humboldt. And it is a requirement that the grant application, the grant itself, is brought to the board for the public to see, and it will also be on our website. So it's not anything to vote on, just it's a matter of, you know, public transparency. Any questions on that, Grant?
It's just, it's a massive, wonderful, it's a massive grant, and, you know, it's just, a wonderful opportunity. You know, we should be proud of the fact that we've been allowed to have this grant.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not just a one and done. Oh, my goodness. That's what makes it so impressive. And I hope everybody realizes that.
Melissa or Brian, do you have any comments
No,
or
no.
questions? Okay, moving on to 6.2, which is the same, Northern United Siskiyou California Community School Partnership Program Implementation Grant.
And same situation, for Northern United Siskiyou, we also received the Community School Implementation Grant. This one was a little over 700,000, smaller school. But again, for 5 years. And the grant application is in there for everybody to see and will be posted on the website as well. And it's on there right now in the board packet, but it's gonna be in a special place.
Any questions or comments about that? Okay. 6.3, Northern United Charter School Board Self-Evaluation.
I'll let you take over, Rosemary.
Okay, we had, hang on, here we go. We had talked about this in August, I believe it was, about doing a board self-evaluation, hoping that we could complete it when we were all together. And I know Melissa has done hers, that she had sent to me, because she was not able to attend a meeting that she thought we were going to discuss this. And I have done mine, but I don't know about you gentlemen, which really wasn't an assignment for this meeting, but it was something that we had long talked about. And it's, so that we as a board could evaluate what we're doing and that type of thing. Are there any comments? And if we have a due date, so to speak, I can put together the overall self-evaluation, and we can discuss it at a further meeting, future meeting, excuse me. Comments, questions?
My comment is, I've always envisioned this as just more of a dialogue rather than just a scoring sheet.
Mhm.
And that we had long envisioned that we would do it collectively.
Uh-huh,
And the ideal would have been when we all got together this fall, but that has not come to fruition. So, we're left with, we can still do the verbal discussion. We hadn't really decided on, which of the ones that we were, going to use. We've got 3 different ones
uh-huh.
here.
And we just
And-
went with a format that was in line with Sherry's
Right.
evaluation.
So, with that one, and again, I haven't done the scoring
Mhm.
on it. I have comments to make that are, I feel are rather relevant, but I think it's more of, I had envisioned using this one.
Mhm.
Well, that is
And-
the one that was agreed on.
Yeah,
The
okay.
other ones were only included, I just included those other ones because if you remember, when you guys decided on this one, it was like, let's try it and
Uh-huh,
see.
and
And
see.
this was
Mhm.
in the summer or whenever. And then my thought was, after you did it once, if you wanted to change, I gave you some other options. And I think I don't know if I included the same exact one, but I don't know if I did or not for 24, 25, but I have that one made too. But so my understanding was last time, when you guys developed that, the plan was everybody was gonna do that one. And then have the discussion at the
discussion.
October meeting when we were gonna be together.
Right.
All together, right? And maybe what we want to do is just have an open discussion next meeting when we are all together via Zoom and whatnot, because it doesn't look like we're all going to get together until perhaps springtime. But whatever the consensus is, that's what we'll do.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
Doing homework
with
and bringing it back next year.
Sure. Well, I think my comment was last time that I wasn't sure how I would evaluate because I've only been on the board short
Right.
time.
Right.
But I'm willing to talk and look at the questions for sure.
Uh-huh.
This gives a little bit of input.
So Rosemary, how do you envision seeing this unfold?
I would like, the same way we would have done it in person, is just to talk it out, number one here, what are our thoughts? How are we doing? There are comments. Read the comments. Some of them are kudos to us, others are, we need to improve. But I think that we should remember, not to take everything personally. It's subjective, and we can be tough, I guess, on the subject matter, but not on the person.
Why not do this now? Go through.
We can,
uh,
Melissa and we have ours, don't we, Melissa?
And
Yeah, we'll decide.
So,
Let's go back to Jerry's t-shirt.
Yeah, I know. Oh, they're calling on email.
You know,
Oh.
we can do it now, or if you want some time to review it and think about your comments or whatever, we can come back next time. But again, Melissa and I have ours done here, but we'll go with whatever you boys want to do.
So, you know, the reason that I actually turned it in is I just wasn't really clear that it was a discussion thing. And I do appreciate the idea of just kind of talking about each area and like hearing people's feedback on like various points. So I do appreciate that. So the only reason I got mine done was because I thought it was homework.
But again, she got it done.
yeah,
So it's really whatever the group wants to do. If we want to do it now, we can do it now because Melissa and I are ready, or you gentlemen.
it doesn't mean that, just because I haven't got it, a printed form that I'm not ready.
You know, she's
I
really
am-
pushing that.
I mean, I can go through
Discuss, to just go ahead and just discuss
We
it,
can
because
do
the
that.
other thing is you can discuss what you're thinking about this tool, too,
Uh-huh.
because that was part of this.
Yeah.
Remember, it's developing this and trying and seeing what you think about it, so that could be included in your discussion. Not to mention, can I just point out, this was the 23-24 board self-evaluation. This was gonna be done like in May. And so
Uh-huh.
now we've kicked it down. Now we're in October. That's why I had already created the 24-25 one, but I didn't want to put it in the packet to confuse things.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I think originally we were gonna come right back from summer and just get started on.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
again, which is what Melissa.
But and to be fair, each month too, I think we were hoping that you would have all 5 board
Right.
members present, but that hasn't worked out.
And
So
that
I think
hasn't
at this
worked out.
point, it's just go forward.
And I know that speaking for Jerry and myself, we were hoping to be together all around the same table.
Yeah.
So if we want to do this, we can start doing it right now with, do you have your copy, Melissa?
I just pulled it up.
Okay. Starting with number 1, setting the direction for the community schools, which would be focus on student learning, assesses needs, obtain baseline data, generate, review, or revise, setting direction, documents, beliefs, visions, priorities, strategic goals, success indicators. Then moving down, ensure an appropriate inclusive process is used. Ensure these documents are the driving force for all efforts of the school. And have we met those? We didn't meet them, we exceeded them. I felt that we have met them. My comment to this was, this is a new path in education that is still in its infancy. However, I feel we're heading in a direction to do amazing things.
I agree. We definitely have met the expectations for number 1. I mean, that's a given. We don't have controversial interactions, discussions, it's not been contentious. We're all in this together. We're one great big family, and you know, we all agree on what we want to do, and we each have our opportunities for input, or listen to, and you know, we've done what we've expected to do.
Melissa?
I agree that we've met expectations. I think there's a lot of these areas that we definitely are just built into our day-to-day, well, month-to-month processes. And I do think that there are some areas that we could be giving more attention to, like ensuring that these documents are the driving force for all efforts of the schools. I think sometimes, like as we go through our handbook and we revise it, I've noticed like, oh, those are such good points. Like, what great values, what great direction our school, like it's built into our school. And I personally would like that to be front of mind all the time, like those points. And so I feel like if we all kind of, and starting with myself, just review those more often and think about them when making any decisions, so that way we are ensuring an appropriate, inclusive process and that these documents are our driving force.
Thank you. Brian?
The only comment, I have a comment. Is I know that I've seen you guys have really good staff, you have a great team, that I do notice, great principal, great director, been here for years. Another thing that I hear comments, and I don't necessarily think pertains to this school, but I would like to have more information about it so that I could make a clear decision for next year. A lot of times online, I'm in different groups where we hear that a lot of charter schools fall behind, are not up to the IEP standard. That is a common complaint. Sometimes I hear that, oh, they're not following the IEP. Oh, well, I can't send my child to that school because they're not following the IEP. And those are something that is near and dear to my heart. If we're really following that, I can't say if we are or not because I haven't looked into it and I haven't really discussed it, but I would like that information. Like, what are we doing for our special needs students here? Do we provide aids to them? Do we have a sensory room? Do we have these things? Because eventually, when we're out, we're promoting our school, it'd be nice to say, hey, this school does follow the IEP. This school does follow the federal law. And a lot of times that's the most common complaint I hear online. Alder Grove or some other school, like, they don't follow this, they don't follow that. And I'm like, I hope that, that in our sake that we do follow those and that we do provide all that inclusiveness, to these students and that they're getting the education just as much as all the other students are. That's my only comment. So if you have that information of like, what do we do for our IEP students and what do we do for our special needs students, I would love to have that, sent to me so that I can just see that. What are we doing to bring those kind of students? Obviously you do get more money for them, not looking at the money aspect, but what are we doing to include them in our charter system? That's it.
Rosemary, my response to what Brian just brought up, and I don't mean to suggest one way or the other that I know or don't know, but to try to allay that fear or concern. I've always felt that our school is about following the legal mandate. And the special education, individual education plan is a legal obligation. And from my point of view, I've never doubted that our director, our special ed teachers, anybody involved in that have always done everything expected and required in an IEP. And we were faced with a situation 1, 2, 3 years ago where we had a parent challenge us. And it was financially a huge burden, but we provided all the necessary actions, accommodations, requirements, regardless, to meet their needs. And so I've never, ever questioned whether or not we do or we don't and all that. To me, and maybe that's the wrong approach. Everybody is entitled to their own point of view. I understand that. But for me, I've never questioned that. Whether or not that makes any difference for you or not, I just wanted to have the opportunity to say that. So.
And as you know, Jerry and I have education as our past lives or background. And so when these things come up, we have not felt the need to second guess what the school was doing here. We just we understand the process and what they're doing, and so saying that, it kind of gives us a little heads up on some of the areas, as opposed to our other board members that are parents and community members. They're looking at it through those lenses, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's your point is very valid, to have everything there in black and white. And just to piggyback on what Jerry was saying, and I know that you do know this, the IEPs are legal documents, and they have to be followed or there are consequences.
And I think it's good that we have a variety of passions, like that some of us are passionate about areas that others are not as passionate about, so that we can bring these topics up. And for the people that don't have educational backgrounds, that we can make it seem to the community that yes, we are following these. And instead of it, appearing like, well, yeah, this is just the normal day to day, this is how it is, it's a living part of how we are. It's like sometimes those things do need to be proven to the community and to the board members and all of that. So I actually appreciate the saying like, hey, are we doing it? And even if it seems like, well, like not to be, but like, yeah, of course we are. But it's like, well, let me see it, show us. And I appreciate somebody bringing things like that to light, because of how you said it is a legal document. It has to be followed. It is important that it's followed. And if we can't easily make that transparent, say to board members or to the public, then it does need to be looked at. So I appreciate that we have like people in our board that feel confident that something like that is being followed, and then others who are like, well, let's make sure. So I think this is what this is about, is the good balance of this kind of thing.
And I just feel very proud of the board, because we've only hit on one topic, but our discussions are going in the right direction, so to speak. So thank you, fellow board members. Now we'll see if we can follow through on the next one, which is number 2, establish an effective and efficient structure for the schools. Employ and support the school director. Establish a human resources framework that includes policies for hiring and evaluating every personnel. oversees the development of and adopt policies, set a direction for and adopt the curriculum and required data purchasing assessment systems, establish budget priorities, adopt the budget, and oversees facility issues. And with that, my personal opinion was we do exceed that. And my comment was keeping our district healthy has always been a priority, not only for the board, but for the community, our school community, so to speak. Putting the right people in place, overseeing policies and et cetera. We have a leading team and I feel that that's been proven over the last few years. Other comments or?
I also feel that we have exceeded that expectation as a board. I think that my comment was in this area, I believe our board flourishes. Our systems seem to work well and run smoothly. This is an area that is well executed. I say that because I feel like we put a lot of effort into this, and this is the part that is like the ticking clock. It just keeps going and working, and we just hit all of our areas.
Thank you. Jerry?
I'll agree with that as well. We had the opportunity to go and visit Siskiyou, and we got to see the new facilities and just be amazed at how they're transformed into very efficient, well-equipped centers for learning. Going back a little bit further, we acquired a new facility that's now currently the Eureka Learning Center, and how that's been transformed. And having just recently visited that facility, it's just so amazing. And taking a former counselor for the old Mattoll district along with me, she was also very impressed with how things were laid out and all the visual triggers. It's just, we've done a really good job with that. Even going back further and taking advantage of this facility when the opportunity presented itself to expand, acquire a little more space. You know, it's we're not static. We're always looking forward and moving forward.
Brian?
The only comment I could say is that I feel like you guys have a really, the board, at least from what I've seen since I've been on the board, that you guys really have a good, that you support the school director, Sherry, and there's like a really good working relationship with everybody here. And I've seen the hard work, putting stuff together, sending the emails. I want to say I appreciate that we're getting all the information. So thank you. That's my comment.
Okay. And moving on to number 3, provide support through our behavior and actions. Act with professional demeanor that models the school's beliefs and vision. Make decisions and provide resources that support mutually agreed upon priorities and goals. Uphold board-approved policies and support staff implementation of board direction. Ensure a positive working climate exists. Be knowledgeable enough about the efforts of the schools to explain them to the public. And as a board, I feel that we have exceeded that. My comment was, as a board, we strive to be professional through all aspects of our duties and responsibilities. Melissa?
I put that we have met this expectation. I think we work really well together as a board. I think that I can only speak for myself, but I feel respected and heard. And I do think there has been times where we maybe like not always have been able to express our emotional responses to topics or find like the best ways to express our disagreements. And I feel like we do our best and we're all just human. So there's grace there. But I really love reading the part in the board handbook about positive governance, team culture. And I feel like if we were to just, it's almost like that should be on our screensavers or something. So every time we go into something, we just remember to focus on students' best interests, commit the time, not take disagreements personally, show respect by never dismissing or devaluing others, and just on and on. It's just like so motivating and like, yeah, we got this team, we're a team. And like, we recognize that each board member brings unique experiences, values, and beliefs to the table, and that we must work with each other and the school director to ensure high quality education is provided to all students. And I feel like that page is just like a back page for this one point here. And I love that we do that. And I think that that's an area that we just have to continue to remember, like when things get a little bit where we're maybe don't approve of someone's actions or beliefs, like that we just remind ourselves that so that we don't get emotional about it and express it that way. So it's a good reminder for me, and I feel like for all of us. But one point that I personally feel is be knowledgeable enough about the efforts of the school to explain them to the public. And I'm like, where do I even start? Like, I don't even know what to tell people, but so that would be one area for me that I would definitely say needs improvement.
Melissa, I just have to jump in on that point because you have just hit the nail on the head for us describing our school in general. I have this elevator pitch that I give, and it usually starts out with, our school is very unique. There's not one way to describe it. And that does make it difficult because we offer so many different options and programs for students, and we have so many different facilities, and it's over 2 counties and all of those things. Every student is independent study. I mean, all of these things that make us unique, it is difficult to describe.
Yeah.
Jerry?
To the point. It's, well, definitely we've met the expectations in certain parts of the bullets. We've exceeded them. Melissa has hit on a couple points, and I know she's I'm not putting words in her mouth, but she was polite about some of the elaborations she made about some of the points. One of the things that is essential, and I've been known to say this, we have to agree that we're going to disagree at times. And, that's really important for the board to understand. We've gone through some rocky periods. Not that it was anything major or blown out of proportion, but as remembering that we're still relatively new and young. We didn't start off with very well established procedures, practices. You know, we've gone, this is at least our second iteration of the agenda format.
Mhm.
There are a lot of things that we didn't have in place until we were confronted with something that made us think, oh, wait, what about this? We've amended the bylaws multiple times to address issues that we didn't have. We couldn't think of at the very beginning that we were going to face. And in addition to that, we had turnover of members that when they came on board, unlike now, there was no onboarding process. And so for me personally, I found that I was frustrated, I admit that. And I came to the conclusion, and I'd said this at a board meeting, that I couldn't criticize somebody for something that they didn't know what they were supposed to do, or what was something perceived as that, well, this is their role. Well, and we spent a year, month by month, addressing different aspects and components. And collectively, we came together to come up with how it's laid out now in our onboarding procedure. And that's a good thing. And so the working climate overall has improved. And relative, that's a relative statement. It just depends upon your perspective. But the one thing that, and I can only speak to the Humboldt side, because I'm physically not in the Siskiyou side, and Rosemary's the champion cheerleader on the Humboldt side. And I will say it's largely due to her proximity to the facilities versus me.
Well, and the students that attend the facilities.
That's true, that's true. I mean, Rosemary's connection to being here is that she's had family go through the program. And whenever possible, she's present, and she's makes a good representative. And I know in the past, and I know presently, Melissa, you attend activities or things on the Siskiyou side. Bianca did as well. And I have not necessarily to the extent that maybe I would like, but I still take the time and opportunity at the summit, go and address and give the words of encouragement and
Many graduations.
and the different graduations. And so, that is an important aspect of showing the rest of our folks that the board is interested and concerned and, are there for them. The fact that when we've been able to, we've improved the medical plans as we could. And that's, something that impacts many people under our purview, so. That's all I'm saying on that, so.
Brian?
The only comment that I would say that I, at least throughout the year, half the year, I feel like that everybody has been acting in a professional demeanor that models the school's beliefs and vision just by listening to people talking, interacting by email or public, even in public, I've seen Rebecca out there doing some hard work, fundraising and stuff, and I know Rebecca, but, and it's just, I see that, and it's important that you have that same professional demeanor, not just when you're on the school, but out in the community, because you kind of reflect that. And that, I mean, I work hard at that, at least doing on several boards that I'm on. How do I act in the community? Because when they see me, like, oh, he's on there, he's on that board. Why is he acting this way? So I take that personal, like my professional demeanor is going to be the same pretty much everywhere. I really feel like that. Me personally, to be more knowledgeable about the efforts of the schools, to explain them to the public about what efforts are we doing. And it goes back to the IEP thing. I'm not knowledgeable enough. That's why I brought it up, because when I do see comments, when I do see things, or people talk, why they don't want to send their kids to school to sort of thing, I take that to heart and I take it very seriously. And that's because I have kids that are IEP. It doesn't mean that we're not following. It doesn't mean that we're not doing what we're supposed to do, but I would like to have that information, to have that knowledge enough to explain to people like, hey, we are doing that. Why don't you give it a try? Or we are doing these things and we offer these things. This might be a good school. And I do realize that not everybody is going to like a school because of certain things, because it all depends on your family, your background, and where your child's gonna be the most comfortable, And just because you have offer everything doesn't mean that child's gonna fit. So I realize that too. But I will say it does need to be work for me, at least personally, to be more knowledgeable of what we're doing, to explain to the public, hey, this is what we offer. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. All right, moving on to number 4, which is ensure accountability to the public, which is what you're talking about there too. Evaluate the school director, monitor, review, and revise policies, serve as a judicial and appeals body, monitor student achievement and program effectiveness, and require program changes as indicated, monitor and adjust finances of the school, and periodically review facility issues. And again, I have checked that we exceed that. I feel that this is an area that consistently is addressed and reported back to us effectively. Melissa?
I also agree that we exceed expectations in this area, and my comment was, this is another area in which I believe we excel. There's not one point on this list that I feel we fall short on. And as I was reading it in preparation for this one to come up, I had thought that I would like to commend you, Brian, for stepping in and also upholding that as a new board member with your questions of like making sure we are transparent to the public and accountable to what is our legal expectation, etc. And so that's just another reason to show that, yes, that this board effectively ensures the accountability of our school.
Jerry?
All my comments so far, I'm looking at the totality, since this is our first and only evaluation, I'm looking at it in totality from the beginning until now. So therefore, some of my previous comments. So absolutely, we've exceeded this. I'm thinking back to 3 years ago, 4 years, the state budget, and when we were going to deal with vouchers, and they were just you know, it was a tough time and remember we had the discussion of, is this a want or a wish?
Uh-huh.
And there were some things that, you know, that we just had to pull back on that, you know, wasn't an easy thing to do, but we had to, you know, and again, all that's with being accountable for our actions. And granted, a large part of the community doesn't follow us, what we do day in and day out, month and so on. But we do, and the people in this room that deal with, hear what we say and deal with us all the time, know that we take our responsibility very seriously. And so fortunately, we haven't had to serve as a judicial or appeals body, but I believe we're, when that time does arrive, we're ready and well equipped to perform that role. And it's just a very free-flowing exchange of information as issues come up from all our partners and many of the people, all the people that are present here right now. So.
Brian?
Yeah, my comment would be that long as I've been on the board since this year, I do see that at every meeting, and then that we talked about and just that we are ensuring the accountability to the public, you know, even discussing, you know, the evaluation to the school director we've talked about during the summertime. And then talking about it, revising policy, and even today we were going through, you know, different revising stuff. I do feel that we are definitely doing that so far, and I feel like that's also going to be a revolving door to where, you know, you're always going to making sure that we're doing that, and it's always going to change. And so I really feel like that we are definitely doing that.
Thank you. The last one, number 5, is act as community leaders. Speak with a common voice about the school's priorities, goals, and issues. Engage and involve, excuse me, engage and involve the community in the schools and activities. Communicate clear information about policies, programs, and fiscal condition of the schools. Educate the community and the media about the issues facing students, the schools, and public education. And this one is really important to me, is advocate for children programs and public education to the general public. Key community members and local, state, and national leaders attend graduation ceremonies and other functions. And I feel that we as a board, or me individually, exceeds this. And my comment was, Northern United Charter Schools is a well-established entity in both counties. And I personally attend functions and make site visits regularly. I feel that it's important that the folks in the schools and our students know that we have a board and feel comfortable in developing relationships and whatnot. And I've always been a big advocate for being visible. Melissa?
Okay, so this one, I'm gonna just read my comments straight out. I put did not meet expectations, and my comments are, this score is not for the board as a whole. This is my own personal rating of an area that I fall short in. I've been with the board for over 3 years, and in my time, there are a lot of areas I have not grown into. This is a good summary of my shortcomings as an individual. I would say that I speak with a common voice, and my intention is to advocate for all of the areas listed. So not a total failure, but room for improvement on community engagement, informative communication, and generally representing of our school. I feel overall this is not the worst thing ever because my fellow board members meet and exceed these expectations very well. So it's been a while since I wrote this and I was probably feeling a little bad about myself that day. But yeah, it was it was good self-reflection to say, okay, you know, some of the areas that I could have done a lot more in, and which I honestly, bringing it kind of to a close as it being the fifth and final point, makes me see why I really appreciate this as an evaluation tool, because it reminds us of all the areas that we are expected, and actually the purpose behind us being on the board, and why I'm here and what I want to do for the school and the board. Whereas showing up to events and things like that, yeah, busy mom, whatever, but I want to remember, like, as time goes by, that's a priority for me. So kind of a 2-in-1 there to say that this structure reminds me of why I'm on the board and what areas that I feel that I could use improvement on.
Thank you. Jerry?
Collectively as a board, I think we've exceeded expectations. Personally, not so much. I have always been the one board member who didn't have a direct connection to the school. My only infamous claim was in the beginning was that I was the spouse of a counselor for the old district, and one that had a background in education. So my motivation for many things was very different, and so I don't have from that aspect, a particularly strong tie. However, I'm all about students and success, and an encouragement for those that are making a difference in students' lives every day. I can remember during the pandemic and the shutdown, and talking with many people in the community about how well we, Northern United, was equipped to do remote learning, because we're very, very proficient at doing it already. And also, I proudly could talk about the independent study that our school, through Sherry, was educating other districts about how to approach that because of our experience. And I talked about, kind of taking off from what Sherry said previously about how to describe our school. Well, we're different than, but we're not less than. And I enjoy, being able to do that. And I enjoyed making the effort to attend graduation. I've enjoyed making the effort to attend the summit. And here just recently, I made an effort and went to the open house at the ELC and stayed all the way to the end. And I got to hear all the teachers talk about themselves and their program. And I was able to go the next day and attend the FFA meeting and thoroughly enjoyed that. So, yeah, when my burden is that I'm 35 minutes away and usually involved in something and have to make a transition and then go and do that. But I really enjoy that. And so in the board reports, in the report section and board reports, it comes out most of the time, and Rosemary is the champion one of this, of attending all these different functions. And if you, Melissa, I don't know if you could see Rosemary, but she's got her NUCS sweatshirt on. And so, just proudly advocates of our school. And so therefore, by default, then, we act as community leaders. We inevitably run into someone asking about our school, and we get to tell them how diverse it is and how many different needs that it gets to meet, and that we do well, and we're starting to get that recognition and enjoy that. So
And before I go on to you, Brian, I'd like to just make a brief comment on one of the things that Jerry had said about being out in public and wearing my sweatshirt. I was at Michael's this summer and had somebody come up to me and ask if they could take a picture of my sweatshirt because they were looking for a school for their high schooler. Yeah. Brian?
The only thing I would say that is that it's always gonna be like since I'm new, I haven't fully been able to do what I want to do, or if I accidentally don't put it in my calendar, then I'll forget. And that's what happened the last couple times when I was going to go, and they're like, oh no, I missed it. So I'm definitely going to be working on that. But I think I'm not sure if you guys do this or if you've done it, but I would like to know, when it says educate the community and the media about the issues facing students and the schools and public education, that I haven't really personally seen. I don't know if you guys do it or not. If you do, great. I would love to get some information about what we're doing to educate the community and the media about what issues facing students in schools and public education. If we're not doing that, then, maybe talk about it at a future meeting, but that's something I would definitely interested to know more about if we're doing that. Other than that, I feel like you guys are advocating for children. I've seen, people talk, or, the programs that you have. I think that's a lot of advocating, different programs and let people know posting on your Facebook page, website, sharing stuff. That's definitely sharing stuff and advocating. That's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Thank you.
That's a good point.
And I want to thank my board members. This was, in my opinion, a very good roundtable discussion that overall, I want to say kudos to us. And with that, we will move on to reports. 7.1 is our enrollment and attendance report, which is in the packet. Any questions or comments about that? Okay.
I'm glad to see the enrollment's ticked up.
Uh-huh.
And what is the um, state allowance for the students?
You mean the dollar amount?
Yeah,
It's about $10,000 a student.
yeah. So that's significant.
Mhm.
It really adds up. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, both schools are up in enrollment for CBEDS Day or Information Day, and they were last year.
When was that? Last week?
October 2nd
Yeah.
was this year, so.
7.2 is the financial report for NU Humboldt and NU Siskiyou, which is also in the packet. Are there any questions or comments? 7.3 is Northern United Humboldt report, which was in our packet. Rebecca, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, that was a long one.
It was, but
Yeah.
it was,
You know what's happening.
Yeah.
it was good, it was good. I do have a question though,
Okay.
and this is very easy,
The softball.
yeah. As noted in my report, I do make site visits and whatnot. And I noticed on your calendar, you have a leaders lunch twice a month. What time is that leaders lunch?
Are you talking about the lunch bunch?
The lunch bunch?
Yep, had it today, it's at
Yes.
12:30.
12:30, okay. Thank
And
you.
that's kids who have perfect or have the best attendance. For
Oh,
kids who have perfect
nice.
attendance, their name gets put into
Uh-huh.
something that's drawn, and if they win,
Yeah.
then they get to choose what they get to eat, and they get to bring friends.
And if you're gonna
Nice.
come this next time, I moved it to the 22nd on a Tuesday, not Wednesday, because of CEI.
Oh, that's helpful to me.
So 10:22.
Okay,
Just in case you haven't been.
22, you never know when I pop in, do you? And,
Yeah, this is great.
7.4 is, Northern United Siskiyou's report. Kirk, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Nope.
Any questions or comments for Kirk? All right.
Thank you.
7.5 is the director's report.
Okay, well. I first want to just commend you guys on doing that board self-evaluation. I think that was perfect. I know that, you guys had been waiting to like the most opportune time, but I think that was really good. And it gave you a lot of opportunity to discuss things and think about your role. So good job. I wanted to mention that I think I talked about this before, that the state is rolling out, whatever, a new option for schools to participate in. It's called the multi-payer fee schedule, and it's part of the Children Youth Behavioral Health Initiative. And what it is it is allowing schools to bill private insurance as well as Medi-Cal for behavioral health support that schools do. And this is for any student. They do not have to have an IEP. So some of you may know that always schools have been able to bill Medi-Cal for students who have IEPs for very specific services that we offer. If the student has an IEP and is also on Medi-Cal. Well, now, schools are going to be able to bill both private insurance and Medi-Cal for all students for behavioral health support. And it does not have to be just intensive like counseling. It can be things that like school counselors have always done, like friendship circles and, just all of those, even like kind of foundational level, tier 1 type, what you do for all students, behavioral health things. And so this last year, the state started piloting with some school districts and county offices. There have been 2 cohorts of piloting this already. And I applied for us to be in cohort 3 and heard this week that we were accepted for that. And so what that means is we will be able to start doing it in January. We'll be able to start billing. And so staff who can bill are anyone who holds a PPS credential, so a school counselor, a school psych, or a new position that has been created now by the state called a wellness coach. And so we are actually posting to hire 3 new wellness coaches. And there are 2 levels of this position, a wellness coach 1 and a wellness coach 2. And so we're hoping to get 1 level 1 and 2 level 2s. A level 1, basically this position, this wellness coach is like, I don't know, I'm gonna say a baby school counselor, like not a full school counselor, they don't have a PPS, but they have to have either for a wellness coach level 1, you have to have an AA in either like sociology, psychology, things like that. Or for a level 2, you have to have a bachelor's. In one of those, it could be child development, family relations. There's a few, very limited degrees, psychology, sociology, that, so in addition to having the degree, you also have to have a certain number of hours for the wellness coach 1. You have to have 1,000 hours for a wellness coach 2. You have to have 2,000 hours of like on-the-job training being supervised by someone with a PPS credential. And so those staff members would also be able to bill. So they would be like, kind of like I said, like a junior school counselor, kind of under the advice, under the supervision of a school counselor or a school psychologist. They would be doing the real kind of entry-level things that you would do for all kids. Like, let's say you guys might have heard of like Second Step or Steps to Success, that old kind of social emotional curriculum. We have a new one now called Character Strong. So the wellness coach could be doing that kind of, direct instruction or materials, using those kinds of materials with students. And then their time they can bill, like I said, both private insurance and there's 0 impact on a family member's like copay or any of those kinds of things. And so I'm telling you about this because as part of getting ready for this, one of the things we're going to need to do is develop policies related to things like you can imagine, like HIPAA compliance. We've always had to do FERPA compliance, but now HIPAA compliance and the storage of people's medical information and those kinds of things. We're working with a third-party billing vendor to support us with this, but we're going to have to develop some policies on this. And so you'll be seeing some policies coming forward related to that. And the hope is that these positions being able, like the wellness coach positions being able to bill, will offset their salaries. So we'll be able to, it's a way for schools to have more mental health supports in the school without it being a financial burden on the school. That's the hope. We also did receive a grant to pay the salary of these 3 wellness coaches for the year while we are getting our billing in place. And so the purpose of the grant is kind of like a bridging time, so that we can have the finances to pay the salaries for these people while we're getting our billing up and running. So those are positions that we are actively seeking right now. And the thought is we may have people on staff already that have the qualifications necessary to do this, and frankly, have been doing this already. So anyway, that's just something that I wanted to let you know about. CEI is coming up at the end of this month, and we have 2 of our board members attending, both Jerry and Brian. And Jerry, you got the email from Cadence, right, to book your flight?
Yeah.
You did,
I
but
didn't.
you did not. And I found that out today. we got an email saying, these are the people who we have on the list that did their, and so do you think you just didn't get it, the email from Cadence?
I didn't get any email. No, I got the thing that I signed up and everything. And I-
Well, you-
Did you
Yeah.
check your spam?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was, I'm sure it's from Katie's, but we reached out to them and let them know that
Yeah.
you were on that list.
well, then
And so-
I think you got the response of like, people who signed up late would be getting something this week or something.
Mhm,
Since you got yours, I'm kinda,
mhm.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about mine.
Yeah,
But anyway, that's coming, so that's kind of exciting to have a couple board members come to our CEI work that we'll be doing later this month and be part of that team. So we'll have a report, I'm sure, on that at our November board meeting. And then I just wanted to give a quick update on our Siskiyou board member search. I did put it out on both Parent Square, sent it out to the emails. Both of our facilities in Siskiyou have a flyer posted about it. I had bye Rebecca, thank you. She has a CLC parent meeting at 6 o'clock, so she's working. I had a parent reach out to me, actually, this is gonna be good. Because a parent who is on our CEI team in Siskiyou reached out saying she was interested. And I emailed her back and explained the process and gave her the application and stuff, and I didn't hear back. And I followed up with her and haven't heard back, but I'm hoping that we can talk with her at CEI next week, because she'll be there. And she would be fabulous. So she has a student who attends the Wairika Learning. Oh, he's one that presented to us before with the, what was that? What's that called? The manufacturing.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yep. His
Wasn't
mom
his dad
just
there?
reached out.
Wasn't his dad there when he was presenting? No.
No, the employer.
Yes, the
The teacher.
teacher.
Yeah, the teacher, right,
Yeah.
right.
Mr.
Yeah.
Claus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Fox, yeah. So anyway, I
I
just wanted to
remember
give
that
that
well.
update. And then the last thing I just wanted to let you know, I mean, just another thing that came up that I did on Monday of this week actually is met with someone who is running for Assembly District 2 as an assembly person to take Mike Wood's spot. And met with him to talk with him about schools like ours, the non-classroom based independent study charters. Just because it's always a good idea to have the legislature as knowledgeable about our schools as possible, because as you guys know, we've talked about before, the idea that in statute we're called non-classroom based is like a misnomer. And it's very confusing to the legislature that thinks that means we have no facilities and that we have no classrooms and that everything's online or something. Because time and time again, when there is like new funding for something, we are explicitly left out of it because it seems as based on the name non-classroom, they think we don't have classrooms. And so I met with him and, talked about our school, and coincidentally, his stepdad was the executive director of a charter school just like ours, that's part of A+, in where he lives in Santa Rosa. So he didn't like put that all together for a minute, it took a while. He's like, oh, that school is called Pathways. And we're like, yes, that's what that is. So anyway, that was just kind of interesting. And the idea that like, if he did get elected, knowing that there was somebody that knows more about us. The other thing is he volunteered. I would have invited him, but before I even had the chance, he said that if he got elected, he would very much like to come visit our school and check it out. And so I told him I would hold him to that.
Good.
So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that, and that's it for my report.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. And moving on to board reports. Melissa, do you have anything?
Just that I'm sorry that I wasn't able to attend last month, and that I spoke with Sherry about that my term ends in December, and that I'm savoring these last few meetings with you guys. Also, that I'm sorry that we weren't able to make it out to Humboldt. I was really looking forward to that, and we were trying to shuffle things around, and it kind of just came back that maybe it was just the best idea to just do another Zoom this time. So sorry about that, guys. And that's everything.
All right. Brian?
Pertaining to the board? Or just anything?
Report, out about, the schools, what, if you've made any visits, anything you'd like to report to
No.
us?
No, I don't really have anything this time to report. That's it.
Jerry?
Well, I'd just like to state that I really appreciate being on the email list to get the upcoming events from Siskiyou, as well as Humboldt and any other special reminders. For me here on the Humboldt side, you know, on the 19th of September at the ELC open house, got to connect with Amanda and told her I really enjoy, you know, getting those weekly updates that come on Sunday. And as I mentioned, I attended the ELC open house and enjoyed that. Rosemary was there. I took Carol, and Carol got to see Rebecca and others that she knew and was, as I had said earlier, thoroughly impressed with how that has evolved, because she too had seen it when the original open house was held. That was a lot of fun. And as I had indicated, stayed to the end to hear all their presentations and so on. And the next day, I went in and attended the first FFA meeting and stayed through all of it and gave Mrs. Freitas all the pictures that I had taken her son that had the Supreme Grand Champion, but also FFA, but also her other son that had them in 4-H, and she really appreciated that. And it's interesting just to, you know, I stayed through the entire meeting and just witnessing the dynamic. It's interesting. And then, as Sherry indicated, I registered for the CEI conference in Anaheim on the 24th and 25th. And the story behind that is, once I saw the email and then you had to fill out the elaborate personal information. It's like, you know, so I'm digging out my passport, you know, putting all that in. But
Because they book the flights for you, so they need all that. Did you do that piece? Maybe that, you
The
know, it
what?
said you had to go on and register with Cadence first.
I just went, okay, so this is what I did.
wonder
I didn't
if
get
you
a
got
I didn't get a
registered.
so the thing is, I didn't get a confirmation email back that I signed up, but I did take a snapshot and just said, thank you for your registration. Thank you for registering for the event. We are excited to have you join us. We'll send you a confirmation email shortly. So I didn't even get any information through them. Whatever link that was sent to me, I went there and registered.
Yeah, but in that email, it said, if you haven't traveled with us before, you need to create an account in Cadence.
Oh, that's probably what happened.
And that's the part where you had to put all your passport
Right,
and all that.
Okay.
it was really extensive, and so
Okay,
in
that's
that
probably what happened.
email that had all the different components on it, then it said, had a deadline as to you
I
need
must have
to
missed that.
contact them to about booking the flight, and
Which the deadline had already passed when I sent you that, because
Right.
that they reissued that.
right. And so, all of a sudden I realized, oh, I didn't do that, and I revisited it on Friday and,
Yeah, this is the only link that I got was through this. I don't have any other link that
There,
talked about.
there was another link, it was just, at least I don't think so, it was just embedded in
Yeah.
the email.
right, and so,
Yeah. that's the
I
only one.
realized, oh, shoot, I didn't reach out to them, so I on my own
Yeah, I don't.
went to
even see that on
United and found, the flights, the flight number
Right,
and all that, and I sent an email
That's
to
weird.
them to tell them that I registered and, please book me on these flights, and so then, I got a response back that I had contacted them after hours and blah, 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 and someone would be in touch with me on Monday. So I just called and we got it all worked out and I got the confirmation. So I'm hoping everybody's flying out at 4.
everybody's doing, like, I'm going the day before, people are doing different things, but yeah,
So,
most people are going at 4, I think.
yeah, so.
Some people, like our Willow Creek people, they sometimes will go on a Redding, they don't even do the.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's
right.
all
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of different,
yeah. So anyway,
yeah.
so I'm, that's all taken care of, and then, just wait to hear about, the next steps or processes. So, and.
So did they confirmed your flight? You got your
Yep.
flight all confirmed,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
And then the hotel, you don't have to worry about, they just take care of that, they don't contact you separately for that or anything.
So that's, that's all.
Okay, thank you. We've already went through Brian.
Yeah.
So now it's my turn. I would, this week is School Administrators Appreciation Week. And on behalf of the board, we'd like to say thank you for all that our administrators do for our students, families, staff, and community. Thank you very much. And following up on the thank yous, Jerry, you used to call Bianca the ambassador of good. And now you've given me the title of cheerleader. Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
have never been a cheerleader, and so I can cross that off my bucket list. Thank you very much. I too, as Jerry said, attended the ELC's back to school night, which was very well received. Students and staff mingled. It was just a really good night. Also, yesterday I attended the community advisory committee meeting. And it was extremely engaging. A lot of students from the high school was there. They were very positive. They expressed a lot of new ideas that I'm anxious to see how that all evolves. So with that, we will move on to 8.1, which is possible agenda items. And I do feel that we need to have an action item pertaining to Brianna. We have had, this is our 5th meeting, as you all are aware. She has only attended 1 out of the 5, which was our June 27th meeting. And so with that said, we do need to have a conversation and a vote on possibly removing her from our board. Any other agenda items?
My evaluation tool,
Right.
and so my
Mhm.
thought is that I'll reach out to Jerry before the next meeting and we'll like hammer something out that we could then present at that. But that's about it. The November board meeting is very light. Very light.
Okay, good. And then 8.2, we have a conflict, so to speak. Our agenda says that our meeting is November 13th, which it is, but the background sheets say December.
Oh, how funny.
So don't look at the background sheets. No,
Interesting.
not yet.
Sherry was just jumping ahead.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, that's right.
I was dreaming of Christmas.
There you go. There you
Soon as
go.
October ends, everybody's gonna be talking about Christmas.
Everybody will. So that's November the 13th. And at, just a minute here. I'd like to thank everybody for coming and those that stuck it out with us. And I will adjourn this meeting at 6:15.